This is Vonya Womack with Unknown Stories Untold. The international community is aware of the kidnapping of Orhan Inandi, who is a citizen of Kyrgyzstan, who is alleged to have been kidnapped by Turkish agents and currently being held in the Turkish embassy there in Bishkek. Orhan Inandi is a leader of a number of schools there, Sapat Institutions. So not only has he been connecting with students, but he also connects with faculty, and he is involved in the community there as well. So I want to thank very much for Temirbek Azhykulov for joining us and talking to us about what Orhan Inandi has meant to him as a mentor over time, as well as some more information in regards to the ground there in Bishkek, Kyrgyzstan.
Hi again. Thank you very much for this opportunity. My name is Temirbek Azhykulov, and as you just mentioned, I am one of the first graduates of this high school, Sapat High School. It was 1997 when we graduated the high school. So since then, I've been in the private sector. As for Orhan Inandi, I've known him since 2000 year. He has been there for the last 20 years. And he has been in the management of the Sapat high schools or the institution itself. And he was one of those founders of the institution, and he was the leader of that institution for so many years now. This is how I met him. And this is, of course, coming back to the school much. He always wanted us graduates to go back and help their schools, help the children, help the students find their way in life and guide them. And Orhan Inandi himself personally. So I was always invited to several of those schools to give lectures, method classes on how to become successful and how to run business and what is like to be a businessman, let's say. And of course, the last 27 days ago, when we heard the news, we were very much saddened by the news. And since then, we have been waiting, let's say, that's maximum we can do at the moment for any good news, at least some news about him at least being alive and being in Bishkek.
Thank you for that. Can you elaborate for us a little bit on what kind of educator Orhan Inandi is? He has to work, obviously, with administrators and also has comes into contact with students. So could you explain to us a little bit about what kind of educator he is? Like what do students think of him? How does the community there think of him?
First of all, I mean, he's the nicest man you ever meet in this country, in this world, I would say, because he's so much open to everyone. I mean, we're not his relatives, we're not his brothers or sisters, but he was very much open the first days we came to see him. And since then, he's been there. And as I mentioned, I mean, you can imagine like 10,000 of graduates we have. And I'm sure that most of them know him personally. And he was very open to any ideas. He was very open to new ideas. I mean, we know that in the last few years, there have been new schools opening up. Mm-hmm. And of course, all of them are initiatives of the graduates themselves. They are initiatives of, let's say, business people. And they would approach Orhan Inandi and ask his advice, guidance, to be honest, ask support of Sapat education centers, because they are the brand, they are the sustainable institution in the country. And number one in terms of education. He's very good with parents and the parents communities, of course. And I am myself a parent at the moment. My kids are going to the same school that I went to 20-something years ago. So this is how close we are with Orhan Inandi.
Very good, very good. So I understand that there have been a lot of protests that have been happening, and they've been continuous every day, and there are students involved, there's the community is involved. Can you explain to us a little bit about what those protests look like?
First of all, it's constitutional right of everyone to go and protest, of course. What we did was we organized those protests very peacefully, informing the local authorities, the power, and of course informing the other relevant government institutions. It was very peaceful, 2-3 hour long protest every day. The main goal was to attract attention and at least ask for some information.
And citizens still believe that he's being held in the Turkish embassy there. Are you all getting any other news in regard to the situation? And another question to add with that is, do you feel support from the Kyrgyzstan government and from the international community in regards to finding where Orhan Inandi is?
Unfortunately, we don't have the information at all. To be honest, I mean, neither official or unofficial. Still, I mean, it's very interesting. Like, no one knows what's going on. The security forces, the high-level politicians, let's say, even the president 2 weeks ago, he said that it's under his control. So the police are searching, and all other authorities are helping the police to do this searching. But so we do hear from a couple of politicians in the parliament that also mentioned about Orhan Inandi's case and demanded from the high senior level of the police officers to do their job properly. But that was the only thing, let's say, we heard.
So in regards to the international community, is there anything that you would like to say to world leaders, to international organizations? Because this is a pretty well-known case now. We even have some of our politicians here tweeting about it. So what kind of support can they give to Kyrgyzstan in order to find Orhan Inandi?
I think the first thing is actually raising awareness. I mean, we assume that this case is related to Turkey's hunt, let's say, against. We are in Kyrgyzstan, and he's Kyrgyz citizen, so I mean, we've got nothing to do with the politics in Turkey. But what we want is actually is raising awareness. And indeed, the Turkish politicians, Turkish government is involved in this case. We would like to attract international community's attention to that case. Secondly, what we would also request is actually the Interpol and other international searching agents to help us. I mean, even if our government doesn't apply for help, we as a community would like to raise our voice and ask the international community to help us in finding this person, of course. And secondly, all this kind of bad stuff is going on around the schools.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping that this will help to create more noise around his disappearance. And, you know, it really sounds like he is a well-known educator there, that he has really worked for the last 26, 27 years to improve education in Kyrgyzstan through his, you know, his work with people individually, with the business community there, which is helping to improve the economic situation as well. So I thank you very much for giving us this information.